Hero's Corner with Heck and King live at Corby's Irish Pub is presented by Tony Letcher with Health Markets Insurance, Han Funeral Homes and Frick's Driving School in Mishawaka, and the Harbor Group Planned Wealth in Anderson.
If you're watching on live, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up, and comment in the live chat. If you're listening on audio podcasts, follow the show and leave a 5-star review. Now here's Heck and King.
We are live tonight from the great Corby's Irish Pub in the great South Bend, Indiana. To my right is one of my greatest friends that I know, the great Johnny Be Good, Johnny Overmeyer. To his right is WKRP, our fact checker, Kenny Peterson. And the big head on the screen that's taking up half of our screen and cutting us in about half is the great Patrick Lee King, who is broadcasting from Florida. What's happening, Pat?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm just sitting here enjoying Florida, as you said. So I am in Sarasota, actually Bradenton.
Yeah, we probably did that because that means no one's at your crib. So we should probably just say that you're down the street at maybe Durbin's.
I don't know that there's anything at my house anybody would want.
Well, I'm going after the new snowblower myself, to be honest.
Well, if you get in the garage, I'll have to give you the alarm because the alarm's set right now. You'll set off all the alarms and have the St. Joe County Police out there helping you do some shopping.
Oh, okay. Hey, listen, we have a great show planned for tonight, and we're coming off of a couple heaters here because a couple weeks ago we had Robbie Berger on, and Robbie told the whole story of what was going on at Mishawaka Marion, and that's about to get that's going to go to a whole nother level, right?
Very much so. Investigation going on. Charges were filed against that player. Robbie's out of a job. There's a lot of pressure now, possibly to get rid of the AD. A lot of things are coming down the pike. That story is not even close to being over yet.
Yeah, and from what I read a couple of days ago, the diocese of South Bend Fort Wayne is now getting involved with the Archbishop, saying, "Hey, I'm gonna get involved and see what we got." Maybe he's gonna come back and give Robbie a reprieve, and just tell Robbie to go to confession and maybe get back in. I don't know, but that's not going away.
No. And when the bishops get involved, that means it's some pretty serious stuff.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question that it's pretty serious. Then last week we come off of another great heater. We had the great Dick Hunsaker on, man.
Oh, that was great.
The head coach at Ball. Your alma mater, Ball
My
State.
alma mater, absolutely, yes.
Have you listened to that show?
I have. It was great. You guys did it again. It was fun listening to the stories that Hunsaker told, and that great run that obviously they had, got beat by Vegas there, and I remember that. And that was you guys did a great job with that last week.
Yeah, and one of the telling points of that interview or that conversation with Dick was, I remember being in that huddle with 6-7 seconds at Vegas, and I remember sharing my opinion that, man, we need to take a 3 here, because even if we tie the game,
you got to beat them another 5.
We got to play we got to play an overtime, and it was interesting then because on the show then Dick came out and said, yeah, we were thinking about a 3, but the week before Paris McCurdy had just made that amazing play against Oregon State, and we were and he just wanted to put it in Paris's hand, which you can't go wrong.
No.
But that was a great show in itself. Now we're heading into just a great time of year now. College basketball is over.
Yep.
The NFL draft is coming up April 26th.
Yeah, somewhere there. Yeah,
you're the fact checker.
April 23rd, 24th, 25th.
Check it out.
Check it out, Mr. KRP.
Let's go, chop.
So and then we have Major League Baseball, of which the Tigers lost yesterday, right?
And they lost this afternoon again. So they've lost 3 straight. They're in last place in the Central, 3.5 back, but it's early. I'm not getting in on. I know you're done with the Cubs, but
No, I'm not
tell us
done.
those
I'm
Cub fans
back.
because there's
I'm
some Cub
back.
fans that are panicking right now.
They've won 2 in a row, so I'm back.
okay.
I'm back. How's Javi Baez doing?
And he's off to a slow start, but we'll get there. I'm not giving up on my Tigers yet. That's a division they can still win. There's a long way to go.
I don't think so. We have the Masters coming up this week.
Oh man, yeah. Rory McIlroy at 567. He's tied for the lead after round 1.
Did you guys see this morning on the Today Show? They had the kids on there that were golfing with the players. Their kids were out there on the par 3.
I did not know.
Yeah.
Oh man, those kids! I want to have some of those kids. I could do a foursome with because they should drive the ball better than me.
Oh, well, that's not saying much.
No, it's not. No, it's
That's not. But
He only 8 instead of 4.
April 23rd to 25th.
Okay.
April 23rd, 25th is the NFL draft, which is always a big. So I know you guys, and you probably watch a little bit of it because you're a huge Detroit Lion fan.
Oh, absolutely.
You are a Cincinnati Bengal fan?
Oh, Bears.
You're a Bear fan.
Bear, yeah.
And I mean, Pat's a Colts fan, I think. I think Pat's a Colts fan. And for whatever reason, I have no idea because he lives up here in northern Indiana. But are you a Colts fan?
Yeah, pretty much. So, the 80s, I was a Cowboys fan because I lived in Dallas and just kind of territorial. You didn't have any choice. It was either Cowboys or just keep your mouth shut. So I just, for some reason, I think I was more of a Peyton Manning fan than I was a Colts fan. And it's just still kind of stuck with me.
Yeah.
But heck, you've been talking, we finished the NCAA tournament last week. This week's Masters week. It's also the last week of the regular season in NBA. The NBA playoffs start next week. So things just kind of flow one to another. And the Stanley Cup starts here pretty soon, the playoffs in hockey. And, oh, by the way, you still got baseball season going on.
Yeah, we do. And, one thing I want to kind of jump into a little bit early here now is last weekend we had NCAA in Indianapolis, and
Everything was in Indianapolis.
yeah, just a great venue. All of the people who talked about it were saying that Indianapolis is such a great place to host it, that everything is right there, that you don't got to, like get in a cab and go to another place for the convention center. It's right there. So, and they were saying that if they held the NCAA in Indianapolis every year, that they all would be fine with it.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a great everything.
The city does a great job. And it's not just all around the Final Four. There's other things you can do around the city. And, Indianapolis is a great sports town, no matter if the NCAA Final Four is there or not.
Yeah, I agree 100% with you. Now, so let's go back to those games a little bit. We had Michigan playing Arizona. Now, I had Arizona winning that game. And I said this to you guys off the air before we started. I thought both Arizona and Illinois offensively were awful. Because Michigan and UConn did such a great job of saying, if you're going to beat us, you're going to beat us from outside the 3.
Right.
They packed in the lane. And both of those teams, starting with Illinois, all they tried to do is drive. I mean, if Wagler drove once into a crowded lane, he drove 25 times into a crowded lane,
Right.
Yeah.
and just got a bad luck.
Right.
And a lot of it was off no passes. I thought offensively Illinois was just out of sync and did not play well at all. I mean, what do I got from the rest of you guys?
I agree with that. I really thought both teams, both UConn and Michigan, really, especially UConn in that semifinal against Illinois, I thought did a nice job.
I mean, what do you got, Coach King?
Heck, I was thinking Illinois all season has not had much imagination with their offense. What Wagler was doing, playing one-on-one, playing with the high ball screen and just trying to make things happen, that's what they've been doing the entire year. Those big guys inside, they'd throw it to the post, and if they had something, they just took a shot. But Illinois really, I didn't think really ran what you and I would think of as any kind of a standard offense. It was just they played one-on-one, they played 2-on-2, and the rest of them just kind of stood around and watched until it was their turn. Yeah,
no, and I agree 100% with that. And I I just don't think that's a formula to beat UConn with the way UConn runs 100 sets.
Well, yeah, they're going to set you to death, and it really frustrated Illinois, and then they just couldn't get anything going offensively either. I thought it was just set after set after set by UConn, and Illinois going, hey, we can't play defense this long. We want to get out and we want to go, and they just were not able to do that. Right. I thought they looked very lethargic in that semifinal game.
Yeah, and to their credit, I mean, and obviously if you're in the Final Four, I mean, you're a good basketball team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. To their credit, they kind of got back into it and made their run. But even when they made their run offensively, they just became too quick again. Right. And didn't move the ball, didn't take a great look at a downtown three. But and then again Arizona against Michigan. I don't think there's any question who the best team in the Final Four was. Now going into the Final Four, I thought Arizona might win it. Right. But once everything started, shaking out, it all came back to Michigan.
Well, their height was just dominant. Nobody had an answer for their height.
Their height and their physicality.
And that's what wore Arizona out, was just the physicality, especially when they were trying to pound it inside. Michigan's bodying up on them all the time. That's going to wear you out physically and mentally. And just that physicality, you're right, Keck, that was the difference in that game.
And I think, you look at where Michigan's at right now, I'll tell you what, I think he's got things going in a great direction up there in Ann Arbor. They're going to be a tough out for a while up in the Big Ten.
Yeah, but I don't know about that because Michigan, they started five portal guys.
Right.
They started five guys that were transferred into Michigan. Now, obviously, if they can do that, then obviously somebody else can do that. And so I don't know. And then you get to the championship game where, again, it was Michigan and UConn. I thought UConn played really, really, really well in the first half until that foul was called where a player from UConn was hooking a player.
The hook and hold.
Yep. Yeah, and they gave him 2 free throws. They called it a flagrant. Michigan scored. So I think that 4-point play was really tough on UConn. And instead of UConn going down 4, going into the half, even, they went into the half 4. I mean, what do you got on that, Pat?
Well, and UConn played probably as well as they could play. They followed their scouting report, to the letter, and Michigan played very, very average in that first half. And I think that was a huge warning sign that to UConn that things might not be going well second half, because if Michigan started to kick it in gear, which they did, I'm surprised the game was as close as it was. And heck, one thing I was going to mention, one thing that Michigan and UConn both do better than anybody around is both of them can guard the ball. They can literally one-on-one guard the ball with no help. And that prevents the other people from having to, the help and recovers, the rotations, the ball reversals. They showed that they can literally play one-on-one. They can guard the ball and make stops that way. And that's one of the reasons Illinois had the problems they had against UConn, was they could guard Wagner with no help. And I thought that carried over into the championship game. Then you got both teams that were very, very good defensive teams. And I think that's one of the reasons the shooting numbers were as poor as they were first half, that both teams were shooting in the 30s at halftime. And it was basically pretty close to a rock fight that first half, Michigan and UConn, simply because both teams were so good defensively.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. I think that I thought that they were well coached. All the stuff that Danny Hurley gets talked about for, he's just a coach. I mean, Danny Hurley's just a freaking coach, right?
Yeah,
he's just a coach. He coaches them up. He's old time. He'll get on the refs. And I want to bring this up because I think there is some truth to this. I think that they weren't going to do it, but I think they could have done it when UConn beats Duke and he headbutts the official.
The official, yeah.
Now, you're not allowed to have any physical contact or anything with an official during the contest. We all know why he did it. He was excited, but at the end of the day, that official could have had the right to say, "Boom!"
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, definitely.
You're on the court. You headbutted me. I think the official was right in not doing it because I think it was just out of excitement. But I think it, that goes back to 1973 when South Bend, Washington won the state championship in football, and Alan Zepko. Alan Zepko was the quarterback for Washington. He takes the last snap. He just throws it 25 feet up in the air. Now there's still time on the clock.
Yeah.
3, 4, 5 seconds. One of those defenders, catches that ball and goes.
Cathedral wins.
But that kind of, and it didn't happen, obviously. And Alan Zepka is a legend here in Northern Indiana. He's a legend. He played at Ball State.
Yes, he did.
He was a really good football player at Ball State. And but that's kind of one of those kind of deals. But if that would have happened, how would that have thrown the landscape of college basketball into a tizzy?
I think if you go back and watch that, I think it was so noisy in the arena that the referee, got up as close as he could to Hurley to see what he was talking about, to see, that there was still time left on the clock, get your kids back on the bench. And I think Hurley turned it from talking into his ear to a forehead to forehead and just went from there. And I think the referee just kind of played off of it and just went on about his business.
Yeah, and obviously that's what happened. But was there precedent to do that? I don't think, because I don't think it probably ever happened. But it could have.
It could have. Yeah, sure could have. And I've seen that a couple of times, just like what happened with Chad Johnston this past winter. He's excited about some things going on. He's running up and down the sideline. He bumps into an official. Probably accidental. He's not going to deliberately run into an official. He gets bombed. Okay, now I don't think the official should have done that because I don't think it was intentional. But we've seen that with some of the high school coaches here, and we've seen that with some of the players throwing the ball up in the air towards the end of the game when there's still time on the clock. You got to be really careful.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And many times in my coaching career, I made contact with an official on the sideline to see what's, and I always, this was kind of my shtick, if you will. I always kind of made it seem like it was the official's fault. I said, "What are you doing?"
Not you, Hack. No.
Well, you get
on the sideline. Come on,
John. You got to remember now the coaching box at the Wigwam, when they moved the bleachers or the benches over to the sideline, the home team's coach's box was right in front of the scorer's table. It was clear to half court.
Oh, wow.
So when referees had to get heck out of the way to report fouls because he was in the way.
And even now, where it is now, it's interesting when I announce games or if I'm broadcasting games, I see that these coaches come out of that box and they still stand in front of the scorer's table.
Yeah, it's funny, Pat. I think you and I have shared this story about the time you took a team up to when you were at Adams. You took them up to Bridgman and had to deal with the Michigan officials who were incredibly stringent on that coach's box.
Oh yeah, they still went to the 6-foot box. I mean, back in the old days when we had that 6 feet, and you had to be in that. Even you had to sit there in the box. That was a whole different world playing high school ball up in Michigan.
Well, Donnie Thomas told me the story about the time he was coaching at New Buffalo. He actually goes up to Bridgman for a game. He has a toe outside the box and they banged him.
Yeah, it's crazy. Different. It's definitely they're worried about what's going on both sides of that black line. They're in charge of the benches and out on the court. That's for sure.
That's why I never played anybody from Michigan, man. Come on. Let the coaches come on, man. And like one of the things that I think, and I've shared this with y'all. I think good officials control the game, and I'll tell you how they control the game. I mean, good officials would let me talk, and if they didn't let me talk, that was like throwing gas on a fire. I just went crazy then. Right. But they let me talk. But when it was time for me to shut up, they didn't say, "Heck, shut the hell up." A good official would grab his whistle and start to take his whistle up. which was the signal, shut the hell up,
Yeah, exactly.
or else I'm going to bang you.
Right.
Now, if I chose to keep going, then I was telling them that, okay, bang me. But if I shut the hell up, then they were telling me, hey,
Yes.
I mean, it was a great way to work a game.
And I've seen one of our officiating from Jimmy Arnett. He does a great job at controlling games. I've seen him do that at both the girls and the boys level. He'll come over and talk to me. What are you seeing here? But if it goes on too long, then all of a sudden you see that whistle come up. And he's ready to bang you, and it's like, you better shut up or you're going to get one. And Jimmy does a great job. A lot of our other friends do too. But I've really noticed that a lot with Jimmy Arnett.
Well, the one that I've never seen her give a technical foul ever is Kim Yelich.
No, I have not either.
Kim Yelich is, I think, one of the best officials in Indiana when it comes to basketball. She's a kindergarten teacher by trade and then a basketball official at night. And she does a really good job. She's one I've never seen in all the years I've seen her officiate. I have never seen her bang a technical on anyone. I'm serious. She's never teed. I've never seen her tee anybody.
One of my favorite official stories, and obviously I'm not going to use the language because this is a Catholic show, a Christian show.
It's a family show.
Family show. There you go.
Especially
there you
the Presbyterian Methodist next to you.
Monday. Heck, Monday was Dingus Day, so you are allowed to do stupid stuff now again.
Yes, I know. But I asked an official who's right in front of me. I said, would you tee me if I said the F word? He said, not necessarily. I said, good. F you. You're the worst official I've ever seen. Blah, blah, blah. And he bangs me right there. And I said, what? I thought you said you wouldn't see me. Oh, man. Pat, we got to bring this show out of the depth here. And I will, because Mr. Basketball was chosen today. Mr. Basketball was chosen. And out of 230 ballots, obviously I felt it. I know you felt it. I know you guys probably felt it. Luke Ertl got the vote on 207 out of 230 ballots, and he's Mr. Basketball. He gets a triple-double in the semifinal game against Jeffersonville, 22 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists. Without question, I felt and I worked the St. Joe Mount Vernon game, so I saw him close up. And his head coach played for me. So without question, in my book, he was Mr. Basketball.
Oh, I agree.
I mean, did you have a vote? A media member?
I did. I voted for Luke Ertl.
There you go.
As much as I like Brady Scholl and what he did for Northridge this year, I think all around game and what Luke Ertl did with his team and in his career, he definitely deserved Mr. Basketball. I voted for Scholl second. Obviously, a little Northern pride.
Yeah.
But overall, I had to go with Luke Ertl just because of his all-around game and what a gentleman he is too off of the court as well. I take that into consideration. What he does for his community, not just on the court, what he's doing in the classroom as well. He is definitely Mr. Basketball.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, would that be your sentiment, Pat?
I think so. Just the whole body of work. I thought he had a good season, and I've just seen him on tape play. I haven't seen him in person. But I think just the things he did against the competition he's had over the last 2 years, I think he was a good choice for Mr. Basketball.
Yeah, and we had, I don't know, probably a month ago, before the tournament started, we had him on our show, and he was great on our show. We talked about Mr. Basketball. We talked about a little bit what it was like when you're playing in Kentucky. There's nothing great about it. I mean, there's fans, in Kentucky, they grow tobacco leaves, right?
Absolutely, yes.
There's fans spitting
bourbon.
No, there's fans spitting tobacco juice on you. When I was coaching in 2010, I got hit on the shoulder with guys chewing in the stands, spitting tobacco juice on me. It was awful. But when you come back to Indiana, and they played back home again in Indiana, and I was standing on that court, I had tears coming down my eyes just because of you get a sense of how important it is to the state of Indiana. Back home again, Indiana, and then the national anthem. And when I was telling that story to him a little bit, he was amazing. He said, Coach, he said, I can't, if I make the team, and if I'm so fortunate to take the team, he said, I'm sure I'll feel the same way. And he's such a humble kid. But here's the question that I want to ask you guys: Will he? And he's going to play for Matt Painter at Purdue. And Braden Smith, who was the point guard, broke all the assist records at Purdue, and any assist record that ever stood. Will he go in to Purdue and be a day one starter at Purdue?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
he will.
I think with his complete body of work, he can step in there day one and give them, I would say, probably 30, 32 minutes a game, I would think. I think he is capable of doing that. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. I mean, what do you think, Pat?
Well, if not, he'll be the first guard off the bench. If everybody stays, they've got 3 pretty good guards coming back. So, obviously he'll be a nice addition. If he starts, great. But I really think he'll get 20, 25 minutes a game, whether he starts or not. Hey, heck, by the way, your all-star story about in Kentucky, be it that stuff they hit you in the shoulder with tobacco.
Yeah.
If you were at Freedom Hall, that probably wasn't tobacco. That was probably those birds that are flying around on the top of that place.
We played that game at Belmont.
Oh, at Belmont? Okay.
Yeah.
When Scott, when I was down in Madison, they did play at Freedom Hall, I believe, because Scott and I went to the Kentucky game that was at Freedom Hall because it was actually closer to go there than to come up to Indianapolis from where we were there in Madison.
Yeah, sure.
And you should have seen, we were like 3 or 4 rows up too. We just walked in and got tickets. Yeah, that place holds 20,000. It's huge. Yeah, there might have been 2,000 or 3,000 people there at the most.
Yeah, and when I did it, we were on a streak of like 15 or 16 wins in a row. Every coach had won 2 of them, the home and the away, for like 6 or 7 or 8 years. And so anybody who says that Indiana All-Star, oh, what a great experience, how much fun is that, blah, blah, blah. There's a ton of pressure, man.
Oh, God,
there was a ton of pressure on me because I didn't want to be the coach that lost one of the All-Star games. And so I thought the pressure was just really, really big time. But the first 10 minutes of that game when we played at Kentucky, we were getting hammered, man. One of the refs was just killing us. He was awful. I think he was dipping during the game. He had shit coming out of his mouth, down his chin and stuff. And I called a timeout, and I was all over him. I said, "Stop it!" I said, "I know we're in Kentucky. Stop this." Tomorrow night in Indianapolis, we're going to have great guys. And he banged me right there. He banged me, and my wife. One of my kids was telling my wife, Dad's going to get a technical. And she said, Dad will not get a technical. This is an all-star game. He will represent himself.
And you earned a technical.
And I got a T.
Yeah. You earned it, though.
And then I earned it. And then afterwards, we got a good whistle, and we started playing well. We won the game. But I know from that standpoint how much pressure there is. I think when you look at our team this year, I think our team is going to be a really good team. You're going to get the kid from Crown Point, the 6'7", 6'8" kid from Crown Point to Kembe.
We saw
can play.
Can they play? We saw him in the semi set against Northridge Boy. Can they play? Man,
you're going to get Brady Shaw.
Oh, yep. I think that's 2 big men in there. I think that's going to be dynamite for us having those 2 big guys in there.
Yeah, you're going to get that kid, the 6'7" kid, probably from Lawrence North, who was also one of the finalists for Mr. Basketball.
That's quite a front line just right there.
Yeah, what other names, Pat, can you think of that might be on this all-star team?
Well, you had those 5 finalists that they had listed. Jeffersonville had a good player too, didn't they? I can't remember what his name was, but it'll be loaded with Indianapolis players. That they had a couple of kids from Pike, as you said, Lawrence North. Phil Washington had a good player at LC, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, and Cathedral had a good player too.
Yeah.
When I talked to, I talked to an all-star game director. I don't know, about 3 or 4 nights ago. He asked me, up north here. Give me some kids up north, and obviously Scholl is the one.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean that's the one. But I also talked about Tyrese Jones,
Definitely
from Riley
Yes.
and Clay, the former Clay player, who I think is just a really, really good player, a good scorer. I also talked about Nick Shrewsbury being, a versatile player, because in those All-Star games, if you have an injury or two and you get in some foul trouble, you need a guy who can play the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4.
And he can do that.
And I think Nick Shrewsbury can
Yes.
play any one of those positions. I thought Chase Konechny last year could play any one of those positions also. So I think versatility is huge in an All-Star game.
Well, it certainly is. Go ahead, Kenny.
Yeah, I was going to say the fact that he didn't,
Spit it out, WKRP.
get in this in the thing last year. That was awful.
Konechny.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, it was awful. I mean, the kid makes the winning dunk at the final minute of a state finals.
Yeah. No.
I mean, come on.
Well documented. Just a huge snub, and the snub was also a snub from the head coach, who was from Chesterton, a Northern Indiana guy.
Exactly. And you would think they would take Northern.
Yeah.
I remember when Christy Ulrich, the girls coach at Penn, was the all-star coach a couple of years ago. She obviously had a little bit of say who was going to be on the team, obviously.
Yeah.
He took a lot of Northern girls that she knew could play freshman. They ended up losing 1 out of 2. But she took a lot of Northern girls because she knew how good they were and was able to do their game and able to work them in the lineup. And that's why last year, when they're not Konechny not being on the team, I think it was a travesty.
Hey, we got a pit bull over there. What the heck?
Over there.
I've got 2 dogs here, and I had the door closed, but one of them just came in here. So yeah, they sit there anytime the Amazon deliveries come by.
He's showing his color. He's a big Crown Point Bulldog fan.
Yeah,
They visit.
Last time we saw you, you're 6'5". You're going to come back being 5'5". Man.
The top 60 will come out here pretty soon for the boys. And you got to remember now, last year they had the core group of 5 or 6. Then they have a northern group, then a southern group that played. And we just saw those names for this year. So a lot of those kids that are juniors this year will be the same 10 or 15 that they invite in that will end up being the all-star team for next year. So I think what you need to do is look at and see who were on the juniors last year, who that core group was. Those guys are probably shoe-ins for the all-star team.
Yeah,
and then you take 2 or 3 from the north, 2 or 3 from the south, and that makes your 12 players.
Yeah, I don't think they're shoo-ins because obviously I did it when the great Charlie Hall was running it. And everybody loves Charlie Hall from Kokomo, man. He was a hell of a coach. And I was in the meeting when we selected the players, and I had a say. Heck, who do you want out of this group? Who do you want? I want this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. And then, well, we need to take this guy because there's nobody from the south or there's nobody from the north. Okay, I'll take this guy. Yeah. But we had a couple of kids, Corey Parker from Riley from Southern Washington.
Right. Yep.
And Elijah King from St. Joe. Right. They're on the North Junior All-Stars.
Right.
And so I think both of those guys are great freaking players.
Well, and they've what's the kid's name over at Westview? I can say
his name's
he's on there too.
Yeah,
it's either Yoder or Hirschberger.
Yeah.
Heck, I was going to ask you, what's the biggest challenge of coaching an all-star team that you coached?
Well, I've coached a few of them, and my biggest challenge in coaching the McDonald's All-American games is there's a minute restriction. You have to play. You had to play a player like 15 minutes. And when you got 15 players or 14 players, some of your guys are going to sit. LeBron James had to sit for a couple minutes because I had to get players minutes.
Yeah.
One of my assistant coaches was Joe Nadline, and Doug Mitchell from North Central was the other assistant coach. And I both had them. I said, you guys keep a chart. And when this player or this player or this player gets their 15 minutes, let me know. because I want to know because obviously out of 12 guys or 13 guys, there's 8 guys that are great players.
Right.
And then the other 3 are, I mean, you got to be a great player to make the All-Star team.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, I mean, one of the things, there was a kid named Travis Outlaw. He was, and I can't even remember where he's from, but he was kind of a wild card. He's a wild player. He was a little selfish. He took quick shots. And I told Joe, I said, when Outlaw gets his 15 minutes, let me know. And he did. And Outlaw went on to have a 10-year career in the NBA. To be honest with you. How much I know. But then LeBron, you know, I mean, and LeBron was going to get more minutes, obviously, than anybody. And again, there's a minute restriction in the Indiana All-Stars. And I don't know what it is, whether it's 12. I can't remember when it was 12. It's 12 minutes, 13 minutes. But then you're dealing with egos there also because those guys are the best players at their school, at their community, and their parents are, you know, I've been rooting for them since they've been knee-high to a grasshopper. And when that kid only gets 12 minutes, then there's some backlash. You know, and I simply just said, hey, I'm going to play the guys that I think give us the best chance to win, and they're going to get the major minutes.
Now, just so I know for the viewers, are the All-Star games, the Indiana Kentucky, is that a quarters or halves?
It's halves.
Okay.
I believe what, Pat, is it quarters or halves?
They play college rules.
Yeah.
Oh, so 20 minutes up.
Yeah.
Yep. Heck, I've got you a good story on minutes played.
Well, it's good to know you got the key during a media timeout.
Media timeouts are amazing.
I love them in the state finals. I love them.
No, and Joey and Joey Bradburn, obviously the coach of Mount Vernon, was telling me how much the media timeouts helped him in order to maybe, you know, like stop the game, change the rhythm of the game, get the flow of the game going in a different direction instead of just having 5 timeouts.
Right.
And he said the media timeouts were amazing. So I think that's really cool. Hey,
wait till we get that on our broadcast next fall.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hey, I think we need to
or softball.
Can we go to our commercials, or you just want me to read them and talk about our sponsors that way?
I got them.
How do we need to do this, Pat?
Just let me do what I normally do. I've got them, and when we come back, I'll tell you. I've got a minutes played story for you from 50 years ago. But let's take a break, and we'll come back, and we need to talk about some Notre Dame basketball too.
Finding private health insurance can be stressful. What if it didn't have to be? I'm Tony Letcher, licensed insurance agent. I prefer to personally meet with my clients so I can get a better understanding of your needs and budget. I can even review your current coverage. I don't want you to be my client today. I want you to be my client forever. Call Tony Letcher today to schedule your free consultation or visit tletcher.com.
On Funeral Homes in Mishawaka continues its tradition of families serving families. They provide burial, cremation, and pet cremation with compassionate personal care. Families have long trusted Han to guide them through life's hardest moments. Learn more by clicking the link in the show description. Looking to get your driver's license? Frick's Driving School in Mishawaka makes it easy. Take the official Indiana State driving exam right there in-house for just $65. No formal driver's education required. If you're 16 years and 270 days old, and you've held an Indiana learner's permit for at least 180 days, you're eligible. For more information, the link is in the video description. The Harbor Group Planned Wealth helps you answer the big questions like when to draw Social Security, how to manage investment risk, and what health insurance might cost. Wondering if you can earn part-time income after 62 without losing benefits, or if retiring could actually feel like getting a raise. For more information and for information about all of our partners, see the links in the show description and make sure to tell them that Coach's Corner with Heck and King sent you.
Back with more Coach's Corner with Heck and King. Thanks as always to the Black Sedan Band for the music coming in and out of these breaks. If you're interested in booking them, they do travel. Head on over to blacksedanband.com and give a special shout out to their drummer, who happens to be Heck's brother. And now, here's more Heck and King.
I tell you, do I love coming in and out of breaks because the world's greatest fact checker, KRP, he gets into a little bit of rhythm, and I know he tells me he likes to go out dancing.
Yes.
He likes to go to dances. He's got a certain stable of girls that he always meets at the dances.
Yeah.
And he's here really kicking into this music, man. I absolutely love it.
The Black Sedan Band rocks.
Well, no, and you're oblivious to me and John watching it.
Yeah,
You don't even you just do
exactly.
it, man.
Just like on Friday nights.
Yeah, no, the Black Sedan Band is a great band, and they play great tunes. Hey Pat, so and we do miss you here, and I know we kid you about being Wally pipped. Okay, and obviously Wally Pipp, first baseman for the Yankees, who missed a game and was never heard from again.
That's right.
Never heard from again.
Just vanished away.
But and I mean, we haven't voted on it yet. We're going to vote on it after the show. We'll let you know.
Okay.
We'll let you know.
Well, the key is I'm kind of like the kid with the good basketball because I'm pushing all the buttons tonight right now. So you got to let me play. Somebody has to pick me up on their team.
I got good news and bad news for you, buddy. We got a machine here that's got psychedelic lights. It's like, there we go.
Yeah, and you got all I know it. Hey, let me tell you this.
Okay,
Let me tell you this story from the 70s.
It's like I've been on a 2-day trip with shrooms, and I'm looking at all these psychedelic lights, and it's literally amazing. On your board, you got to get some colored lights, man. This is absolutely amazing. All right, give us your story.
You were talking about minutes played in All-Stars. When you and I were in high school, the Kentucky All-Star game at Henkel, and Roy's not around with us anymore, but Tony Marshall told me this story. Walter Jordan knows a little bit about this one too, because he was in the game, but had a guy on the end of the bench that played about 5 or 6 minutes at the game at Henkel, a big blonde-haired guy named Larry Bird. And he didn't play very much. And Kirby Overman was the coach. And about the 4-minute mark, he comes down to the end of the bench and tells Bird to go in the game. And Indiana's just kicking Kentucky. They're up 20-25.
4 minutes to go in the game?
Yeah. And Bird had played a little bit in the first half, but he had him coming in doing mop-up duty at the end of the game for the starters. And Bird basically, in his own choice of words, told Kirby that he wasn't interested in going in the ball game. So you talk about people not playing, you're talking about outlaw and ends up playing pro ball. Here's a guy that you and I know a little bit and had a pretty good successful career that I bet if you go back and look at the box scores, he played less than 10 minutes in the game at Henkel against Kentucky back 50 years ago.
And I remember a great story where you guarded Larry Bird. You held him to 20. He held Larry Bird to 23.
Stop it.
He held Larry Bird to 20. He guarded him for 6 minutes, and Bird got 23.
We need to have KRP to back check that.
No,
to see that one.
And see, the story gets better every time. It was like 3 or 4 minutes. It was first half, and I don't remember how many points he scored.
No,
he held him to 0 at the pregame warm-up.
I thought it was. Listen to me. I think that is one of the greatest basketball stories I've ever heard, because the way you said it to me, and you were just messing around, you were just kind of having a little fun with me, but you said, heck, I held Larry Bird to 23. I said, are you kidding me? And that's right. That's right. Butler playing Indiana State. Obviously, you would have played against Larry Bird. You go, I held him to 23. I got him
if you check the box score, I think he finished with 48 that day at Henkel.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah,
no, you only held 23.
Yeah, the fun part was I got to go in the game and play against one of my little league teammates, a guy named Harry Morgan, that from Anderson, that played at Madison Heights, and he was the other sidekick to Bird. He was the Harry and Larry show at Indiana State. People from Indiana State know exactly what I'm talking about back in the day. But Harry had the big afro, and he and I played on the same little league team together. His dad, my dad, sat up on the hood of the car up there at Fairview Ballpark there across from Memorial Field in Anderson and watched little league games for a couple of years when when we were little guys. So that was fun stories.
That's amazing, man. Yeah, no, I everybody I talked to, I said, I know a guy that held Larry Bird to 23 points. And now it's a great little bar joke, man. It's like my favorite. Have I told you guys my favorite all-time joke?
What casket set did the other casket?
No. There's a guy at a stop sign. He's standing on the sidewalk at a stop sign, and there's a dog standing next to him. And another guy comes up to him, and he said, "Does your dog bite?" And the guy says, "Absolutely not. My dog doesn't bite." Guy reaches down to pet the dog. The dog bites him. He said, "I thought you told me your dog didn't bite." He goes, "That's not my dog."
Oh gosh,
it's one of my all-time favorites.
Oh my!
But anyway, I got to give a shout out to one of my ex-players, Chad Kirk. He lives in North Carolina. He listens to our show religiously. Remember a couple years ago, Pat, he was running for the mayor of his little town, and we did a little, stuff for him on.
We did some politicking for him.
Yeah, we did. We talked about him. We talked about how great Chad was. But Chad, I wanted to give you a little shout out. So should Tiger Woods ever drive again?
No.
All the money Tiger Woods has.
Hire
Freaking driver. Are you kidding me? How many times do you have to? And it's unbelievable because not only do you get in a wreck, but you roll your car
Exactly.
twice.
Exactly.
Twice. And then you get out, you get tested, you're like 0.900 with OxyContin and all this stuff in you. Hire a driver.
Yeah, even Gary Player said that at the Masters this week in when he was questioned about that. He says, "Do I think he should be on medicines? Yes, if he's got all these problems, but hire a chauffeur." He says, "I feel physically and mentally good, but I hire a chauffeur to drive me around so I don't crash."
Yeah.
Come on.
Right.
Come on, man.
Yeah, but Gary Player's 90 years old too.
I understand that, but still.
But hey.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine all the guys at the club when Tiger's is riding around a golf cart? They're probably all running for cover just as a joke.
Yeah, no, hire a driver. Come on, man. Notre Dame basketball. So
Let's talk about Notre Dame. What'd you learn today, Heck?
Yeah, I did some research on Notre Dame basketball. I heard a lot of things today, but I think the biggest thing that I heard, and I think we all knew this, but does Notre Dame, in the big scope of money, in the whole thing of athletic director of anybody, do they really, really care about men's basketball?
No, they don't.
Not like what it used to be in the 70s.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I don't.
You're talking today's world? I don't think they do.
It's a different era and all that stuff. I mean, do you think that basketball is really on their mind, Pat?
I think it is, but I think they're still trying to play by the same rules they've had since Digger was there. They think people are going to come to Notre Dame simply because you got Notre Dame on the front of your jersey, and that doesn't work anymore.
No, it doesn't. And I think a telling sign for me was when Pete Vivacqua came out with a press conference after Notre Dame was snubbed for the football playoffs. And says, "My primary responsibility is to make sure Marcus Freeman is comfortable and that he stays here at Notre Dame." To me, that tells me we're worried about football. We'll spend the money there on coaches, NIL, whatever we need to do. The heck with the rest of it.
Yeah, I think that they do whatever, and you can't say whatever they can do because Notre Dame probably gets $6 million every month from the Vatican.
Absolutely.
I mean, the Vatican sells cigarettes. They take the tax. The Pope gets $6 million. And they probably send half of that to Notre Dame for Notre Dame football,
well,
of course. And maybe now to the White Sox, since the Pope's a White Sox fan. Well, I'm just saying.
And my mom worked at Notre Dame for a long time, back in the late 70s and early 80s before she retired. And their endowment fund is billions of dollars. And my mom was always saying, well, Notre Dame doesn't have the money to do this and that to beat the Bushes. I said, baloney. Their endowment fund's $1 billion or more. You can't tell me they're beating the Bushes for money. Come on.
Yeah, there are countries in Africa that don't have $3 billion or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so I think Notre Dame's women's basketball is outstanding. I think Niall Ivey just does a great job of coaching. I think right now, if you look at Notre Dame spring sports, I think Lacrosse is men's lacrosse is number 2 in the country.
Mhm.
I think that sustains them. You don't hear much about Notre Dame baseball, and I don't know what the NIL figure that Notre Dame gives their baseball program. But
softball got beat last night by Valpo 3-2.
well, that shows you that they're not giving a lot of money to the softball program. But Notre Dame basketball, Mike Bray stayed at Notre Dame, and Mike Bray was an outstanding coach. Don't get me wrong. He had his years in 15 and 16, but I mean, they were phenomenal. And he was a good basketball coach. He recruited. It wasn't in the NIL era so much, but he stayed at Notre Dame for 20 some years, and just what was a fixture at Notre Dame.
Came within one shot of taking him to the Final Four.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And who knows, if they get to the Final Four that year, they might have won it all.
And then he moves on. I don't know if he was pushed out or if he just moved on. Wanted a new change of scenery. But then Jack Swarbrick, the previous AD, hires Micah Shrewsbury. And Micah Shrewsbury had great credentials coming into this job. He had been first of all, he was the head coach at IUSB.
Right. I remember this press conference. He said, I drove by here every day, and I always thought maybe I'll be the head coach here at Notre Dame. That was one of the things he said at his introductory press conference.
And at IUSB, he used to share the track with one Patrick Lee King, who was the head coach at Adams. They used to share the track in preseason, and Pat gave Micah Shrewsbury a million ideas on how to coach. So then he works with Matt Painter. He spends time with the Celtics. He spends time in the NBA. He gets his big break. He's the head coach at Penn State. He wins at Penn State for a year or two, and then we have an opening. His character is off the charts. Wonderful guy. Great background. We hire him at Notre Dame. Now, he has a very, very successful first year. Defensively, they're very, very good. Now he's into the NIL era, and he recruits Jalen Harrelson, probably one of the top 10 players in the country.
Yep, I agree.
He has Marcus Burton on his roster, who's an ACC Freshman of the Year, averaging 20 points a game as a freshman and a sophomore. He gets dinged up. He's a little guard. He goes into the land of the Giants, and the last 2 years he's been dinged up. You can't. I mean, that happens.
Right.
I mean, that's nobody's fault. That happens. So his seasons the last couple of years have been a little rough. But here's the deal now. 6 of his players are leaving. Now, he brings in his top NIL player is Carson Towle from Northern Arizona, I want to say.
I think you're right.
Is okay, averages 10, 12, 14 rebounds a game, but he's not an NIL player, a portal player that other schools in the ACC are bringing in.
Right.
They're bringing studs in. So now let's take a look at this list of players that are going now. Jalen Harrelson. The word was he got $1 million to come to Notre Dame. Signed on the dotted line to come to Notre Dame from Lalamere. Played at Fishers High School, originally from Anderson, Indiana. His family and everything were great Anderson Indians. But now he's projected to get a $3.8 million contract.
Wow.
A $3.8 million contract. Now multiply that times 3 years, because he's got 3 years to play. Now, will he play those years? I don't know.
Who knows?
It's almost $12 million.
Almost $12 million.
Yeah. And he gets 3 hots in a cot. He gets millions of dollars. And I don't know. From what I've kind of heard a little bit, Michigan State, Kentucky, maybe IU. I don't know. But we certainly aren't going to pay him that kind of money, right?
No. Notre Dame's not going to pay that kind of money. Absolutely not.
I mean, the word on the street is that Marcus Burton is going to get a 2-year, $6 million contract. He's got 2 years left. The word on the street, Houston and IU. I mean, Houston and IU.
Wow.
2 years, $6 million. But this is the world we live in. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the world we live in. And if you're going to be a player, you understand that. Cole Serta. Pat and I saw Notre Dame play a couple of times, and Cole Serta shot the ball tremendously deep from three. Outstanding shooter. A lot of programs would love to have him in their, and maybe not to start, but in their rotation.
Right. Yeah.
Word on the street, 1.2 mil. He was going to sign for, and he'll have 2 years, so that's 2.4 mil. Now, can Notre Dame match any of that? Can Micah Shrewsbury say, "Hey, Jalen, come here. I know you got offers for 3.8 out there. How about if we give you 3? And you love Notre Dame, you love the Christian environment, you love everybody. How about you stay for 3?"
Yeah.
That ain't.
That's fair.
But that ain't happening.
No, it's not going to happen. No,
that's not happening.
No, they're not going to do that.
And 3 other guys, Ryder Frost, Garrett Sundra, and Sir Muhammad.
Right. Yeah.
I thought in my book, I thought Sir Muhammad would they would not renew him at all because the game, and I could be wrong. I could be 100% wrong, but the games I think that I watched, he doesn't play hard. I mean, he'd make a mistake and he would jog back down. And, if you make a mistake, you should be the first guy back on defense because you made the mistake and you're pissed.
And I got to make up that mistake.
Yeah,
I'd be running full force.
Yeah, you'd be the first guy back. But there were times, and I could be wrong on that. But so, what's Notre Dame going to do? I mean, Notre Dame's got to sign a whole new basketball team.
Yeah. Well, look, Yale did that this year when all those kids left her, and she did that, and they got to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, but they had Hannah Hidalgo.
Right. Notre Dame does not have a Hannah Hidalgo.
No. And if they're not going to pay 3.8, and let's say those numbers aren't exactly right, but let's say those numbers are close. If they're not going to pay Jalen Harrelson 3.8, are they going to pay anybody else 3.8?
No way.
So they're going to go into the portal and maybe get guys for $1 million, maybe $1.5 million. And what kind of roster are they going to be able to put together in this time period?
Good question. Good luck. Good luck, Micah.
I mean, they're going to have to.
They're going to do something,
some guys.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're probably going to get a couple pretty good players, but
now you got 6 to replace though. That's hard.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, I think the Kohler kid from Indianapolis Cathedral, he said he's staying, and I mean, we both liked him, Pat. I mean, 6'9", bouncy, can shoot the ball pretty well. And for those people that are saying that Notre Dame needs to get a new coach, they need to fire Coach Shrewsbury, blah blah blah. He signed a 7-year contract.
Exactly.
If Notre Dame isn't going to pay a player to come, you think they're going to pay a buyout?
No.
You think they're going to pay $15, $20, $30 million buyout? They're not.
No.
He's going into year 4. He'll have 3 more years after next year. They're not going to pay a buyout. So how they tie Micah Shrewsbury's hands in this era of college basketball, right?
Yeah. Oh, I agree totally.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
No, I agree with you totally because I can't see them saying, "Okay, Micah, you're done. Bye." Here's
because if they can't pay Jalen Harrelson,
no,
they're not going to pay Micah to walk away and give him all this money, this boatload of money.
Right, exactly. No.
So I don't know, Pat. It shows me that I'm not sure that that Notre Dame, and I could be wrong. I mean, they could be sitting there with, Pete Pavakwa, the AD, could be sitting there and say, "It's an open checkbook. Use it." And maybe they are, but it sure doesn't look that way to me, Pat.
I agree. I think, they've got a couple kids coming in from La Lumiere, and I think you're going to be in a similar situation you have with Harrelson. They're going to get as much as they can out of them for 1 year. You're going to bring in some portal kids that they're going to come here simply because it's Notre Dame, and nobody, let's say they couldn't get Auburn or Alabama or Kentucky or Kansas. So they're going to come to to Notre Dame. And I really think you're going to see some kids that will come here for 1 year and treat Notre Dame almost like a junior college. And they're going to come here because they know that they're going to have the name Notre Dame on their jersey. So that gives them some credentials. They're going to have a chance to play in the ACC, and it's going to be a marketing tool. And I think you're going to see Notre Dame, the personnel there, you're going to see this every year for the next several years until they show that they've got the money to get people to come here and stay here. I think Shrewsbury's in for every year. He's going to have to retool the team just like you would a junior college. You're going to have 5 or 6 kids leave. You're going to bring in some kids. If they have a good season, it's going to be just like a mid-major. They're going to go someplace else and get where they can get more money. And that's exactly what's happened here. You've got 3 good kids left. You've got 3 that weren't happy with their situation, and they may find out Notre Dame might have been the best place for them. But again, who knows?
And those other 3 kids, they, that conversation could have been, well, we don't think that you're good enough for us to win.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that could have been the conversation too. So they could have been asked to leave, and you don't know that because we're not privy to any of that. And anything that I say or we say is all speculation, unless my fact checker WKRP here has anything in stone.
I just have in stone that the Reynolds girls will be transferring in the transfer portal again.
Yes.
The Reynolds girls from South Bend.
Yes. Leaving U.S.
Texas San Antonio or
Texas Arlington. Yes.
Texas Arlington.
Yeah. Mila, the junior, she's entered the transfer portal again, and Kira has entered the transfer portal.
What about that? The assistant coach? Anything coming out about that?
As far as I know, he's staying there. I haven't.
If you look at their roster, none of them are on the updated roster at UT Arlington. Dad, none of them. Their names do not exist at UT Arlington on the roster right now.
And Rashonda Jones is leaving Michigan State. She's hitting the portal. She's from Valpin, Washington.
So
that's interesting. You bring that up, Pat. I did not know that.
Yeah,
that's
really.
I think I saw 52% of the Division I kids are in the portal right now. 52%.
Hey, Kenny,
where are they going?
Hey, Kenny,
yes.
You may be moving up a seat here because Pat may be the fact checker at the end of the table.
That bumps me out.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that bumps you, but 2 steps back.
No, that just shows you I've had my earbuds on listening to talk shows for the last 3 days sitting at the beach.
Yeah, no, I agree 100% with you. I agree 100% because it's like guys that are playing on great teams. If they can shop themselves and get $500,000 more, that's cold hard cash, man. So you're asking why is Jay Wright from Villanova not coaching anymore? Why is Coach Bennett from Virginia not coaching anymore?
They don't want to deal with any of this.
They don't want to deal with this anymore.
No.
And why is Rick Pitino continuing to coach? I don't know. Maybe his restaurant's not doing good. I don't know.
I don't know either. Yeah.
I don't know. But, and maybe he's in a scenario where his people are giving him money. I don't know. But what I do know is if I was Micah Shrewsbury, and I certainly can't speak for him because I have a ton of respect for Coach. I think he's really good. I've known him for a while. And I think his intentions are to do everything the right way and to coach his brains out. I would be in a state of maybe disbelief or maybe shock, knowing that his 3 best players, because of money and because the Fighting Irish couldn't come up with the money to keep them. I just, and obviously you got to put a roster together.
You have to. He has no choice. Yes.
You got to put a roster together. And
here, heck, I've got some comments from some of our listeners. Let me post them for you. I'll put some of the Notre Dame stuff up here.
Okay, just read them for us.
Well, here, Q says that The Godfather Part 2, you just mentioned, this is the business that we've chosen. He pulled the Hiram Hyman Roth's quote sums
Yeah,
up the transfer portal. This is the business that we've chosen.
100%. 100%. What else you got?
Well, here, Chad, your buddy Chad. Let's talk and jump from Notre Dame. Let's talk about North Carolina for a minute. He says, thanks for the shout out, by the way. He says, what do you think about North Carolina getting rid of Hubert? Of one coach and what they brought in Malone, who's a pro. He hadn't coached college ball. What do you think about North Carolina's pro hire?
Okay, and here's what I think about North Carolina. So Hubert Davis has been there, I don't know, 4 or 5 years? An ex-player, because North Carolina takes care of their own.
Oh yeah, it's the family.
Right?
They hire North Carolina men, like they do in Michigan.
And I think that he struggled in the tournaments. I don't think he took North Carolina to the next level, and I think that's really hard following Roy Williams.
Absolutely.
I mean, Roy Williams is a legend. And it's really tough to follow him. Now, when you look at his record, he's 40 games over 500, 50 games over 500. But what do you do in those big tournament games and things like that? And here's what happens, and I believe this wholeheartedly. Johnny B. Good, we're going to hire you, and you're going to be the next coach of North Carolina, and we're going to give you $7 million. Now, that's a lot of money, but you better win. Because $7 million. I think those coaches get fired quicker now.
They do.
Because we're giving you a lot of money.
Expectations are so higher, yes.
Expectations are higher. Yes. So now they get rid of Hubert Davis. Now they have names that they're trying to go after. Dusty May. He ain't leaving Michigan.
No.
The only job Dusty May's leaving for is IU.
Is IU. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
IU. I mean, the coach, UConn, he ain't leaving. The coach at Vandy, he ain't leaving. Those guys ain't leaving. And so now they want to talk to Billy Donovan, and Billy Donovan's he's a straight up guy. By the way, the Bulls clean house. They had 2 busters. They had 2 busters running the program.
They couldn't bust a grape.
No, they could not bust a grape. Karnisovas and Eversley, and they're about 2 years too late in firing him. But I know, and people said this, that Billy Donovan, and I don't know this to be true, but this is speculation, that he went to Reinsdorf, the owner, and he said, what's going to happen here? Because North Carolina is going to put the pressure on me. And Billy Donovan said, I ain't doing nothing until the NBA season's over. But he said, they're going to put the pressure on me. So, and North Carolina knew this, because I think all along they wanted Billy Donovan. So now Billy Donovan says, he says to North Carolina, no, I'm not taking this job, blah, 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 because the Bulls have just fired Clown A and Clown B, and there's no more clown show here. And so now I'm going to stay with the Bulls. Hey, Mike Malone, what are you doing? Mike Malone is an outstanding basketball coach.
And his daughter plays volleyball at North Carolina on top of it.
Yeah. But he won championship with the Denver Nuggets. He knows every trend. He'll be able to recruit college guys because he's an NBA guy.
Right.
And their dreams are to go to the league.
Right.
And Mike Malone can sit there and say, here's how you're going to the league. Here's your blueprint.
Right.
This is how you're going to go to the league. And along with that, he's going to win games. So
his challenge is going to be that guy about 7 miles down the road who's taken his program to Final Eights every year at Duke.
Shire. Well, I think Shire's still working on a press breaker. I think he's still working on a press breaker. That's okay. I mean, press breakers are tough.
Hey, here's your next question.
If there's only one thing he needs to learn, hold the ball. Because we're not going to get a 5-second call. Or 10-second call. But I think it's a great move. I love what North Carolina did. What's your next question?
Here's your next question. You just mentioned Duke. This is from Chad in Carolina. He said, all right, let's talk about NBA. Who's your rookie of the year, Cooper or Kahn? The 2 boys from Duke. Which one's going to be his rookie of the year?
I got to go Cooper.
There's a lot of pressure being the number 1 guy, and Cooper Flagg gets drafted by that crazy organization in Dallas. hey, let's trade Luka.
Yeah.
Luka, you're gone. Let's get Anthony Davis, who gets hurt every 2 weeks. He plays for 10 days and he's out for a month. But I think, and then he was the face of that franchise at Dallas. And I think Cooper Flagg has done a great job, actually.
too.
I mean, I really do. Any other questions?
Just Q talking
From
about
Michelle Anchorman.
Q says he thinks that Shrewsbury will be at Notre Dame until his contract runs out, unless he just does something stupid. And I think that's a pretty good.
Yeah, no, and we covered that. He's got 7 years.
Yeah.
They ain't buying him out.
No.
They ain't buying him out unless he goes to Cal next year and catches that ref.
Yeah, that's
He tried to run the ref down.
Yep, that's true.
Next year, if he catches him and something happens,
They might say,
yeah, he may do something.
Right.
I don't think Mike is coming off Achilles surgery, right?
right, exactly.
I don't think he'll catch any ref. No.
No.
All right, and here's Q's 2 cents worth about your Bulls and your upper management at with the Bulls. He said they couldn't find grapes if they were at the grocery store.
Q's
Q's good at this.
No, here's what I say, Q. From the 70s, right on, man. I say right on. But here,
Like right on, Bond.
yeah, but here's another. Here's a good one. Steve Draven.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just good young coach, man. 45 years old, had a great playing career. Held the record in Indiana for free throw percentage for a million years.
Oh, yeah.
And I covered him in high school.
Yeah, no, I know you did. I know, that's why you're on the show, because you covered him.
And I was doing radio for Laporte at the time he played.
Yeah, so we
I know.
So we know Steve. Yeah.
I know. I think he's great.
Oh, he is.
He's got 118 and 61 record at Bethel. But again, it's the I talked to Steve on the phone about a day ago, and he takes the job. He takes a job at Marion in Indianapolis. Pat Knight was there for 2 years. I love Pat Knight, but he goes 16 and 34. And I mean, success just hasn't followed Pat in the coaching ranks. But here's, budget, a better budget at Marion in the same league, in the Crossroads League. Now, so we want to talk about Brady Scholl,
Yes.
for Mr. Basketball, right?
Right.
And just a great player at Northridge.
Yeah.
Great size, great length. Can play all three levels. Can shoot the three. Can take it to the rack, and can shoot the mid-range game. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Why is he not a Division I player? I mean, why is he not why isn't he going to Ball State? Why isn't he going to Kent State? Why isn't he going to Valparaiso?
Yeah. He should be playing in the MAC or the Horizon League or someplace like I don't know what sold him on IWU. I don't know.
Well, you know what I know?
What do you know?
I got an answer. It's called 50,000.
Okay.
That'll do it.
Yeah,
50,000.
Yeah,
got
okay.
50,000 to go to Indiana Wesleyan, and so college guys, Valpo, Chicago State, all of those schools, Wright State, they used to take 4, 5, or 6 freshmen every year, right?
Right. Oh, yeah.
Now they may take one and they go to the portal and get the next 5 because they want to win quick.
Well,
and if Wright State takes Brady Scholl and they develop him and he scores 25 a game, you think Brady Scholl is going to stay at Wright State?
And Pat and I talked about this, I think, semi-state week. We were talking, not on the broadcast, but we were talking that week, and we were saying the same thing. How long does he stay in Indiana Wesleyan?
Yeah.
1 year, we think.
Well, no,
Because he's going to have a great freshman campaign, and then somebody's going to say, here's $1 million, or here's $700,000. Come here, and then he's going to say thank you to IWU and go Division I somewhere.
Yeah, but here's the thing about the Crossroads League. It's the best NAIA league in America.
Oh yes, yeah, absolutely, yeah,
without question. And so Steve Draven, who has coached his brains out at Butler, he made his bones at Butler. It's his first head coaching job, so he makes his bones at Bethel. And then Marion of Indianapolis comes calling and says, listen, you don't have to fundraise. At Bethel, he had to fundraise.
Yep.
He had to raise money for whatever NIL or whatever he had to pay to get Paul Condrey to do the games or whatever he needed to take a trip. He didn't really want to fundraise. Let's go to Marion. He's got family in Marion. His dad's at Avon. He's got 3 brothers in Indianapolis. His wife's from Madison, so it cuts the trip in half.
Right.
Let's go to Marion where the budget's better and
The money's better.
Can't blame him.
The money's better. The fact that he could be near his parents is a big plus at this stage for everybody.
Yeah, and so is it? It's yes, and the answer is yes. If I were to ask him on this show, or if I were to get the AD from Bethel on and say, "Is NIL factor into your decisions?" It is, because I will Brady Show getting at least $50,000.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you totally on that.
So what do you got on that, Pat?
We were talking about, is there NIL going on at the NIA level? And you just answered the question. Yes, it is.
100%.
So, and again, it's anybody's guess. He could stay there, all 4 years. You just don't know. Because he knows if he goes to Indiana Wesleyan, they're going to play in the national tournament in Missouri, for all 4 years, because that's just what Indiana Wesleyan does.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Maybe he's got a girlfriend going to Indiana Wesleyan also. I don't know, but I think for those schools, I think it's great.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Great. Now, if Indiana Wesleyan had probably their druthers on it, would they want Brady Show to come out and average 37 points as a freshman? No, because they know he's
good.
Adios. I'm going to UTEP. I'm going to El Paso.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I got a Mexican hat on and I'm drinking margaritas in El
West
Paso.
Texas town of El Paso.
Yeah, I'm just saying, man. No, I'm very happy. I'm very happy for Steve Draven. And here's who I think the next coach at Bethel is going to be. There's a kid named David Osborne, who I believe was I believe was an assistant at IRU or maybe an assistant at Grace. But he took the coaching job at Trinity International in Chicago.
Yeah.
And did a great job there. But Trinity International is pulling a St. Joe Rensselaer. They're closing their doors.
Oh, boy.
They're closing. So
wow.
he had a great team this year, but doesn't have a job next year. So I believe he was at Bethel today interviewing for that job. So keep the name David Osborne in your memory banks, and let's see if that plays out.
Was he at Trinity International or Trinity Christian? I can't remember. Trinity Christian's the Trolls. I remember their nickname when we went up there to play them.
So which one is closing? I think
Trinity Christian International. I think is already closed. I think they're going to lose both of them.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what I think. MLB, okay, Major League Baseball. Pat, you have a son-in-law that's a baseball guy.
Yes.
So I don't know why you don't get him in the room on this.
They just it's interesting. Baseball in Florida, they've been playing. High school has been playing since February. This is their last week of their regular season. Was their last game yesterday. They played at they had an away game over here, and at IMG.
Well, why didn't you go watch the game and then and walk into the gym?
I was babysitting.
Oh, Pat.
Doing the grandpa thing.
You got to have your priorities. Priorities down here.
That's why your wife came. She couldn't babysit.
We were babysitting.
Oh my! Oh, Pat, we got to have a little chat.
But they start their postseason. But it's interesting. The big news down here, along with the Orlando Magic, have won 3 or 4 in a row here just recently. But we get all the Tampa stations. The Double Rays had their home opener this week. They reopened the Trop, and had the Cubs in town. And so if you were watching TV here the last couple of days with the Cubs, that's where they were, Tropicana. but these are the first games they've had since the hurricane 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So this was a big deal. And they've got the Yankees coming to town this weekend. So they've had the Cubs in town. I think today was an off day, and tomorrow the Yankees are in town for a 3-game series starting tomorrow night.
Are you going to go tomorrow night to the game?
Nope. We're about an hour away. That's something we're going to look at here in the future, but that's just not on the schedule. Right now it's hard to get a ticket because everybody wants to be there. Now you give them a month. Give them a month, and they'll be down to 20,000. We'll be able to get a ticket
because I watched all 3 of the Cub games there, and in the upper deck they didn't sell a seat in the upper deck.
Opening day was sold out, but you're right. Game 2 and 3, the upper deck was pretty empty.
Yeah, and the Cubs took 2 out of 3.
Yes, they did.
And what would Harry Carey be saying right now?
This bunch for you.
No, the Cubbies are coming. Tra-la, tra-la. The Cubbies are coming. Tra-la, tra-la. That's what Harry Carey would be saying.
And these are the same Cubs Cubs you gave up on.
This number's for you. $5.34 million is the average salary for an MLB player now.
Jesus.
$5.34 million. A guy that comes off the bench hits .210. The average salary, $5.34 million.
And we're going to have labor issues come next year.
Yeah.
No, but why
Labor
weren't we
pains.
baseball players, Pat?
Yeah.
Why didn't we play baseball instead of playing basketball?
Bad parenting.
I know why I wasn't. It had nothing to do with hitting a curveball. I used to chuck and duck. I used to bail and wail. I used to bail out because I got hit in the head one time. And my dad was my coach.
Okay.
You know what he said? He said, Ronnie, close your eyes and swing as hard as you can. You might hit it. You might hit it. That was my deal. But these baseball guys
swing hard in case you hit it.
Yeah, no, hey, highest paid player this year, Juan Soto, $61.9 million in this year. So let's say he's got 4 at bats a game, right?
Yeah.
Right.
160. What's 162 games times 4?
600 and something.
Okay, let's say he's got 600. Use your computer, Mr. WKRP, and 600 divided by 61 million.
Okay, hang on a second.
Let's say 62 million because 61.9. 62 million divided by 600.
Okay.
Yeah, find your calculator.
So what was that? 62 million divided by 6,200?
By 600.
62.
I need my Jeopardy music.
60,
John, you got Jeopardy music on your little buttons?
I don't. I'm gonna have to preload it on the mixer.
divided by
600.
600.
600. Yeah.
600 played.
103,333.
He makes 103,000 per at bat for Juan Soto.
Yeah.
Every time he goes down swinging, that's $103,000. Wow.
With a strikeout.
Player, the second highest paid player, Cody Bellinger, 42.5 mil. Okay. Cody Bellinger. The third highest paid player is a tie. The Philadelphia Phillies pitcher, Zach Wheeler, makes $42 million. And the Mets third baseman, Bo Bichette, makes $42 million. Now, Zach Wheeler's going to get 32 starts, right? Because that's what a major league pitcher gets.
Usually, yes.
Yes.
Divide 42 million by 32.
42 million divided by 32. Divided by 32. 1,312,000.
Every time Zach Wheeler toes the slab, every time he gets a start, he makes over $1 million a game. Now, hey, coach, I got a bad wing, man. My arm's hurting, man. I can only go 2 innings. 1.something million. We are in the wrong freaking business.
Yes, we are.
I was impressed the fact that the Cubs played a straight doubleheader the other day against Cleveland because they had to.
Yes. What does that have to do with what I'm talking about?
Nothing.
Well, it's because they only want to play
Shut
one.
the hell up.
They only want to play one game a day. Heck, that's all they care about. One is plenty to a lot of them.
Number four. It's Toronto first baseman, Vlad Guerrero, $40.2 million.
God.
And number 5 is again a Yankee, Aaron Judge, $40 million. So the Yankees, between two players, the Yankees pay $82.5 million.
Jeez.
Now Cleveland. Now, okay, here's why you brought that up. Cleveland's entire payroll is $62 million. Two guys from the Yankees make $82 million.
Yeah, that's
And
crazy.
also, two guys from the Mets are on this. Bo Bichette makes 42, and Juan Soto makes 62. So that's 104 million.
Yep.
And Cleveland's a whole payroll. Now, the number one payroll in baseball is obviously the Mets, 352. LA at 316, but that 316 would be a lot more because they have a lot of money deferred.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yankees obviously are in third, Phillies in fourth, and Toronto's in fifth. Now, out of that list that I gave you, the Mets, the highest payroll, they're in second place right now. The LA Dodgers, they're in first place right now. Yankees, they're in first place right now. Phillies, they're in fourth place. Toronto, they're in fourth place. And oh, by the way, the Cleveland Guardians that you brought up, right?
Yes.
With the lowest payroll in Major League Baseball.
Yes.
They're in first place. How?
That's kind of like the
Come on,
Milwaukee
man.
Brewers. The Brewers are just always there. They don't have a big payroll.
Come on, man. I mean, we're in the wrong business.
Yes,
and
we are.
And you're Tigers, man. I know you live. You're like me with the Cubbies, right?
Absolutely.
You're like me with the Cubbies. The Tigers are in fourth place.
And they lost again today.
They're 4-8.
Yeah, I know.
They got unquestionably those 4 wins. I'm probably sure Schoolball's got 2 of them.
He does.
Yeah, I know he does. I know he does. And at the trade deadline, they're trading him to the Cubs.
No.
I just heard through the grapevine.
I hope not.
Now, the Pirates, obviously, because the Pirates trade everybody every year.
Yes, they do.
But the Pirates this year are 7-5. And I'm pretty sure Skeens has 2 of those
He's got
wins.
at least a couple of them.
Yeah. The
Hell of a
Cubs,
pitcher, by the way.
the Cubs are now 6-6, and they have 2 pitchers already on the IL. Kate Horton,
Yep.
who was
Done for the year.
great
Done for the year.
out for the year
Yep.
with an elbow,
Yep.
and Matthew Boyd. So go figure.
A former
Go
Tiger,
figure.
by the way.
I know. Hey, thank you very much. Our guy from Corby's Irish
Absolutely,
Pub
man. They're
comes
great.
and brings our pizza, and
right.
I am getting ready to deep six this show because we're going to go eat some pizza. Pat,
Before we do,
yes, go ahead.
we may have a new sponsor for this wonderful show that we do every week.
Talk about them.
May Oberfeld Lorber Attorneys at Law on Edison Lakes Parkway in Mishawaka. Travis Ewell, who is the COO, which is Chief Operating Officer for those of you that need it spelled out like heck. They love what you guys do every week. They do a lot of stuff on broadcastsport.net, and they are going to be a sponsor of Coach's Corner with Heck and King starting in August.
So Pat, this is amazing. We now have access to lawyers.
Yes, you do. In case you guys I know who you can call. I know who you can call.
If I insert foot in mouth and someone comes to sue, we're good.
Yeah, we got you covered.
If you give us a fact that isn't true,
They can
we're
come
covered.
through. We got attorneys.
Yeah,
Yes, we
I
have
am so
attorneys.
happy. I'm so happy. I know those guys. When I had golf outings at Mishawaka for my basketball program, they sponsored holes
They're
all
great.
the
They're
time.
great people.
They're wonderful, and I will touch base with them. Thank you for bridging that and helping us out with that. And obviously, everybody knows that broadcastsport.net is its owner and operator is Johnny B. Good, sitting to my right here.
That's me.
And he's so gracious to put us on his network and help us with this show when we first started. So obviously, we thank you for all you've done. Thanks for coming in, Pat. Pat, suntan lotion.
Yeah.
You're starting to look like a tomato on your cheeks, man.
Like a tomato can.
Yeah.
Come on.
I've already got my dermatologist report coming in, so I'm good.
All right. Well, listen. Continue to have a great time with your family. Be safe on your trip back, and we will see you next week here live on Coach's Corner. Scott, thanks for spinning the dials back in Texas, and you two guys. I mean, you two guys are amazing. Thank you very much. Coach's Corner with Heck, King, Obermeyer, and WKRP. We're out of here, man. We are out of here. We now have legal representation. We're out of here. Man, you ain't that good. The scouting report said you were pretty good. You ain't that good.